Okay, we have a.
That's pretty cool.
Is it like points right at my head?
Well, so welcome everyone. We're actually trying out a new device tonight, and it will, if it's working correctly, it will move to the speaker and rotate around. So this is what we're going to be moving to for board meetings. So welcome to our first bond oversight committee meeting. I would like to do, we're going to do some introductions and then we'll do our group photo. What? Is it working? All right, it's working. No, it's just on our YouTube. Got it. Yeah. Okay, so Dora Vickery, superintendent, we're going to go around and just introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Jared Sherwood. I'm the construction guy for Virginia Garcia Memorial Health Center. Well,
That's it.
Okay.
Sure.
Elaine Burke, District Communications. Lisa Heatherly, Title I, Bolton County.
Just a community member and independent journalist.
I'm Karen Daniels, I'm the business manager for your district.
Stephen Rayback, parent.
Michael Griffith, former board member, parent and grandparent.
Adam Galati, principal of Bolton County.
Larry Diamond, former board member.
Scott Rose, RNC Management Group and district's capital projects manager.
Sean Vesper, operations facilities manager, parent, community member.
Okay, so those of you not district staff, except Lisa, you are here as a community member as well, because you live in the district and representing our staff. We're going to go ahead and do a group photo for our bond website page. I can let Elaine or.
Yeah, if we just put one together, kind of maybe in that corner with the flag.
You want to pause this while we give a group photo?
I don't think it's in. I think it's in.
Just go ahead and gather over in the
Stand over in front of the Faulkner Chapman flag.
It might do a little bit of changing depending on heights.
Tall and back. And Sean, since you're district staff, you don't need to be. No, please. Voted on. These are the folks that are usually voted on to our bond oversight committee.
Ray, come on. All right. There it is. Everybody crowded just a little bit more. Feel like the folks that you want to be better confident. Yeah.
Oh, we're missing Molly.
As soon as the picture's taken, she'll be.
We can like take her picture and then
Oh,
show in there.
Everybody just take their box and move. They want that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, here. Okay.
Is working. Hey, watch it up.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take us through just the first. What's back there? Oh, we missed your picture, but your binder is back there. If you wanna, I got a seat for you over here. There's binder, pens.
Is that the punishment she has to sit in front of class now?
Yeah, she gets to sit by me. All right, well, it's certainly exciting for me to be here at this point, going into my 6th year and having 2 attempts to get a bond passed, and then having it passed last May, knowing the position that we were at with our buildings, and that we really needed to get the bond passed and get moving on this. There's information tonight in your binders. I'm going to walk you through just a review. Tonight is more of an orientation to what a bond oversight committee is and what it isn't. And then you'll see number 5 on there. Those of you that stood with, including with Molly, you are our official committee. And so you get to elect your own board chair and vice chair, and then I can elect the board chair take over the rest of the meeting. And we have Scott Rose here with RNC that is going to explain some of the things towards the end of the meeting. And so we're going to move through, and I'm just going to walk you through the tabs in your binders and how this is organized. The first page, you see the list of contacts who will be at these meetings. We've already had a couple of changes. We've already noted a couple of spelling corrections that we need to make. Sui sent an email today and regretted that she needed to resign from being on the board. She's on 2 other boards and they meet on Monday nights. So she felt like this was going to be too much, and she apologized for it. She's a grandparent of CS kids, and definitely a community partner. She's the director of Head Start. So we will continue to work with her. And then we did have some people added to the Bond Oversight Committee after our original meeting in August. Lisa was able to join, which is great to have Lisa as a staff member. We've hired Molly, so now she is a community member and a staff member. So that is great to have as well. All right, then we're going to have a section for your agenda and minutes. So you will also select somebody that's going to be taking the minutes. You have that section. We're going to take a look at cell 803. That is the next one. This is the document that is our compass. This is what we told the voters we would do. So we felt it really important, obviously, that we keep this at the forefront in your bond binder. And then we have the copy of the charter, which I'm going to dive into that later. Our budget, and these are the numbers that RNC have been putting together. The work plan, which is a really tiny print. So we get to, we'll have more information on our work plan, but we get a general idea that second, and I'll let Scott talk more about this later in our meeting. Elaine also included some of the print materials that we sent out, just to give the context of the projects and the campaign that we did. And then one of my favorite sections is bond history. So if you would go ahead and turn to that, I think it just really sets the stage for the work that we need to do. Back in 2003, 8.5 million passed, and that was the building of Faulkner Chapman School. November of 2013 did not pass, lost by 57 votes. May 2014, it passed. November of 22, that's when we went out for 16 million plus 4 million. We had a budget of 20 million. We lost by 105 votes. And then May of 2023, we basically kept it the same. We just tried to rework our bond campaign, and we lost by 80 votes. And then we went back to the drawing board. We reduced the projects and reduced it to 6 million. It was really important that we keep that number under $1. And so for our voters, and we passed by 69 votes. And you see the projects removed from the prior 2S. You can see those projects there that were also on our list. And then the cell 803s for those ballots. So we tried to provide you with a wealth of information to set the stage for the work going forward. So I want to go through the charter just to make sure, and if you were thinking about board chair, vice chair, note taker, it's really important that you understand the purpose of our bond oversight committee. You see there the overview: carefully monitor the delivery of proposed bond projects, ensure accountability, fiscal transparency, and community trust. That is the primary role of the bond oversight committee. What you are authorized to do, the bond oversight committee is established as an advisory committee to may take directional recommendations to the superintendent. All meetings of the committee will be open to the public. We will follow public meeting law. We have the bond website. We'll be posting our minutes and agendas on there. And then it goes on to say that in the committee authority, the committee will have no independent authority to obligate district funds. The committee recommendations will be used to inform final program decisions made by the superintendent and/or the board. And the school board has overall responsibility to ensure that the bond program is implemented within the parameters. Any questions on that first page? Makes sense? Okay. On the back side, duties and responsibilities. I'm not going to go through all of this. You can, you're welcome to take your binder with you and go through it. I will note that on J, disclose and sign an annual conflict of interest statement. I went around and passed those out. You can either fill it out tonight or you can fill it out and bring it back later. Basically saying that you're not in a position where you can make a gain from our bond projects. In other words, you don't own a business that we would be contracting with, like you don't own Stuck Electric. Is that a good example? Okay. And then the committee membership, we really wrestled with how many people to have. Now we have 9, if I remember correctly. 2 board members and the rest of our community members approved by the board. 3 years is the service. Chair and vice chair may serve up to 2 total 1-year terms in the same role at the discretion of the committee. And the committee will meet every other month or as requested by the school board or superintendent. The agendas, I will be working with the board, with the committee chair to set those agendas. And we will, committee meetings will be publicly noticed. And then we'll have a draft reports and information as needed to the school board. So if you are interested in being that chair, that gives you an idea of what you get to meet with me. And we get to set this agenda. Committee limitations. So this is an important section to take a look at what the committee is not responsible for. You're not going to be approving construction contracts or change orders. You're not going to be looking at any legal matters, ordering any of construction of the bond projects, not selecting any of the other personal service firms, and so on. We really act as an advisory. I know, you really are disappointed by all this. You're an advisory to keep us on task. And I think Larry said it when he answered the question from the board, that my job is to see that we do the list that we said we would do. And that is the job of the Bond Oversight Committee, to hold us to that list. Make sense? Okay. All right, so then on our agenda, we want to go ahead and select the election of officers, chair and vice chair. So do we have nominations for chair? Then I can let the chair take over the meeting. And then we'll okay, we have a nomination for chair. Anyone else? Any other nominations? You can nominate yourself if you're interested. Okay. All right, so Jared for chair of our Bond Oversight Committee for the next year. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nay? All right.
Think we could vote.
What? No, you don't vote.
See, I was gonna get a nay for sure.
Who's counting on that?
District people
Exactly,
are doing
right?
their job. Yeah. Okay. Jared, you're it.
All right, so what do you do?
Well, you need to
I've
have
got
a
about
vice chair.
1,000,001 questions for you.
Vice chair.
This is coming, go for it.
Well, you nominated me, so I nominate you. Plus, I've worked with you and I like working with you, so I nominate Molly.
You take it, ask for other nominations
Oh,
or vote.
Nominate.
You're running it.
all right, all in favor of Molly being the vice chair? Opposed? So be it. And so where you want me to go from here? You want me to finish the rest of this? Where is the?
Well, we need to jump into review probably the 803 because I went through that.
Yeah, fair enough.
resource. Let's review the 803 and see what questions you may have.
Yeah,
What's that?
I think it's 803 probably.
Well, I wish the tab said anything.
It does. That way.
Third cabinet.
Third tab in.
Oh.
You want me to walk us through the project?
So, well, you know, the reality of it is you probably know intrinsically more about them than I do. I mean, it would be kind of silly for me to sit here and read to the group. I think we're all able to do that. Because what this doesn't, and correct me if I'm saying something that's completely, everybody knows but me, is this, have we talked about the order in which you're doing this? Has that been put out?
That's what Scott's gonna cover when we get to the work plan.
Then why don't, okay, I'm
Or
gonna hold all
Mario.
my questions about that because I think you're probably gonna cover a lot of this stuff, right?
In a preliminary fashion, yes.
Where they're at.
Okay.
So just to walk you through the
Yeah.
safety and security, both schools really need these kinds of items, the intercom devices. So what we mean by access control, when people go to get into the building, they can swipe their card to have access into the building. Those all need to be updated. We have an issue, like, for example, the end of the hallway at the high school where we installed a badge reader, and the students that come and go from the portables are able to get in. So that way the building stays locked, the portables stay locked. So security issue there to solve. Security cameras and systems, we have some cameras, but they are outdated. We need better cameras, we need more cameras, we need those kinds of systems, and including, if you haven't been in our parking lot at night, it's very, very dark. We need those increased lighting. And I cannot remember, did the, where does it, oh, I think it's part of the clocks and paging system. So other schools that have had upgrades to intrusion alerts have like the little reader boards and information. We were gonna see if we could, so I'm looking at Scott going on, this is some of the things we talked about, where you can swipe, the system where you can swipe a badge in the office and go to the lockdown, like secure in place. And then all the rooms get the message to secure in place without having to say it on the intercom.
And that's part of your access control as well.
That's all I was, that's what I was thinking. But just to explain that and how valuable that is for the safety of our buildings, that anyone in the building would know what to do. And if Lisa or Molly has a sub, they can look at the reader board, they can know what to do. So that was something that our pre-bond planning thought was very, very important. Sheridan High School, the secure entry, we were intentional in calling it a secured entry and not a secured vestibule, because nobody knows what that word is, and I can't even pronounce it correctly. But basically, it is a waiting room that someone could come in to the high school, talk to somebody at the office, check in, what's their reason for being there, and then they would be let into the rest of the building. Dayton High School is the one I always note, because you literally walk in and you are in a small size waiting room. There's a comfortable little sofa, some chairs, and I'm there for a meeting. I let the person know, and I have to sit and wait until someone comes to get me to walk me to that meeting.
Well, you can scan your license, driver's license, creates a badge for you.
Yes, there's levels of
Yeah.
those kinds.
There's security components, and you can buzz them into the office so they can get in the office. Typically, the doors that lead to the school are not unlocked throughout the course of the day. They're unlocked for student arrival, then at 8 o'clock or whenever, they just auto lock. And anybody that you let in, you let into the office first, they get their badge, they sign in, and then they go into the rest of the school. So there's a secondary checkpoint.
Yeah. Replace the asbestos flooring. This was something that Mike and Larry had talked about.
You
Mike, you
know,
want to comment on that one?
yeah, on that, we were here when we did the hallway. And we only did the hallways in school because we didn't know what the concrete was like underneath, whether it could be polished or not. So that's why when we did the hallways, we had the money to do the rest of the school, we were gonna do it later on. But something came up, and the money went away, so was that 10 years ago, and so we're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
Timing on that is gonna be, nobody can be in the building.
Yeah.
And they'll probably seal it up for 2 weeks.
That's RNC's job, by the way.
And then when they do that, they take all the asbestos, they double bag it, and they seal it, everybody's in respirators, and nobody's allowed in the building except for the people in respirators. So if we have summer school,
Oh, yeah.
ain't gonna happen, we're gonna do that, so.
No,
And they're gonna do the whole school, they're gonna do the cafeteria, all the classrooms, everything, from my understanding, so. They're gonna have to seal up the whole building. I think they have it done in 2 weeks, but I'm not sure. Not polishing the concrete, but all the asbestos stuff out.
You might be able to do it in phases or in wings too, and that can be taken a look at depending on what work you got going on at the same time.
okay. The interior lighting, interior updates, paving and parking lot improvements, and expansion, expansion is very important. We've talked for paving the field on the other side of the gym, tennis courts gym, paving that field, access off of Jefferson Street. It drives me crazy. We have such overcrowded parking lots for every event, and people park illegally. And with the poor lighting, it's an awful situation. It's very unsafe. And if you've ever been through here, we have horrible potholes. So getting all of that done will be fantastic. Exterior lighting, I already mentioned. And then the main classroom that we wanted to focus on is updating the science lab at the high school. And then at Faulkner Chapman, the HVAC system, we know needs work. And then the one big project, the Faulkner Chapman old gym, to completely renovate that building. And when we had the mandatory meeting for A&E, and we were taking them through, and they started snapping pictures and just taking a look at what all could be involved in the music rooms, the acoustics in there, the back storage, locker rooms, they are coming to team rooms, the gym floor, all of that to be renovated, the entire building. And then the other site improvements, furnishings, equipment, and the bond issuance costs, of course. So, any questions on 803?
Is there a schedule out yet?
You guys are all asking for schedule. So, all right. Where are we now? I'm going to hand off to Scott. We have been having our core team meetings on Mondays. We have been talking through the different projects, and RNC have been putting numbers to these, but also they were instrumental on helping us go through a selection of architect engineer firm. So we're just moving through that process, and I'll let you take it and explain where we're at.
In fact, we did just do an RFQ for other professional services, which I think was due today. I need to confirm that with my admin, but architect and engineer, everybody knows we've got to hire architects and engineers, but what they don't think about is about the dozen or so other people that we need to hire. We need to hire surveyors, geotechnical and hazardous materials testers, and arborists, and special inspection and testing firms, all sorts of other folks. So that RFQ went out as well. So that one is not so much interview based as it is looking at qualifications and then making a decision from there. And my apologies, I told myself I was not going to use acronyms, then I went and used an acronym right off the bat. So RFQs, request for qualifications. So again, professional service providers by and large will look for request for qualifications, take a look at their bandwidth, their availability to Sheridan and that kind of thing, and say, okay, let's have these folks as our first choice. Provided that they're qualified, we sort of make a pool of everybody. We say, okay, here's our first calls, if you will, for each of those disciplines. Architect and engineering, those requests for proposals came in. We had 6 architects that responded to that request for proposal, or RFP. The district scored each of those proposals and shortlisted down to 3 firms. Those 3 firms were interviewed about 3 hours ago. So interviewed them at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock today. So the district made a recommendation, and we'll go to the school board here Wednesday. The recommendation is to go with Brick, who did your pre-bond planning, but they are also coupled with Anderson Shirley Architects, ASA. Anderson Shirley has a keen, I'll say, sensibility towards renovation projects. So I think combining Brick's acumen for educational design with Anderson Shirley's focus on renovation projects, I think was a good overall partnership. All 6 firms that submitted were qualified to do the work, and even the 3 interviewed today were qualified to do the work. And just kind of finding who's the best fit, who's the best, kind of the best partner. Brick has been through all your buildings; they know them really well. They have a good approach. They know about your permitting challenges, we'll say. And so they have, I'd say, kind of a leg up, if you will, as we look at schedule and efficiencies than the other firms. So we're with them today. So where are we at? So if you look at the tab that says budget, which is the 5th tab in, it's got a light blue tab. So all of our tabs are the same. You will see a summary sheet that we would provide you every time you meet that is, get more filled out as we make more commitments and contracts. But you'll see projects listed, and we've identified really 4 work packages. District-wide repairs renovations in 2026. Right now, we've not assigned a budget for that because we want to coordinate with the architects and engineers and say, what can we move into the immediate future? In other words, we're taking a look at projects that either don't require a building permit, very quick on design. When I say not requiring a building permit, they may still require an electrical permit or something to that effect. But we're looking at ones that we can release very quickly in a manner so that we can award that work in the March-April timeframe and then do the work next summer. So we have to also think about what we can fit in that summer as well. We want to start off strong with folks, make sure that whatever you tackle, you can get done. We want to take a look at anything life safety. We want to take a look at anything building preservation wise. So roofs are always a good thing to try and push forward on that. Make sure it doesn't leak and start to affect other things. If you have life safety issues, you're running fire alarms and intercoms and things like that. Life safety and social security are kind of, they're married, but they're not. We take a look at the things that would immediately impact versus impact in the case of an event, because we want to make sure that we don't put anything in 26 that we then have to change in 27. So we want to be thoughtful about that, have the designers move forward well enough. Then you can see we've got 3 other work packages kind of broken up in the budgets there. Sheridan High School repair and renovations, Faulkner Chapman addition repairs renovations, and Faulkner Chapman the old gym, making it its own budget, its own project, because there's so many different parts and pieces that we're touching. You can see that those budgets are put together, and you have what we call line 98, which is unknown program contingency. That's just for things that are going to come up. Typically, what you will do is you will set up all your project budgets, and then you'll set up a program contingency. So when things happen, like you're digging, and there's a bunch of soft soil, if you're doing any construction of that mode, or finding that your structure is rotted, now you have to replace it through a portion of structure. Those funds would be able to be assigned to any particular project, but only with board approval. So generally, the rule of thumb for the bond management plan is that we'll have very detailed budgets for each of those 4 work packages that have about 50 line items. It'll be everything from all the professional services, strategy, and so forth. And anything within those individual project budgets, your superintendent has the ability to approve moving funds within that one budget. It doesn't go out or in, but just within that budget. So say the movers come in a little bit lower, but geotech comes in a little bit higher, she has the ability to modify that. Anything that goes from one budget to another budget. So say you wanted to move from Faulkner, Chapman, Old Gym to the high school, that requires board approval. Okay, so you can't move between projects, but you can move within a project. And then the bond program contingency also requires board approval to do that to any of the projects. So again, those are those are the safeguards, if you will, or the checks and balances. We have 99 as well, which is shared district program costs. So those are some of the other components. Legal fees, as an example, you have multiple contracts. Lawyers would come out of that line. They wouldn't come out of any individual project because they're looking at contract templates and the like. So anyway, that gives you a sense of that. 12,153,659. You might wonder how we got to the 153,659. Well, that's because we got some bond premiums. So that went above beyond the $12 million. Remember, you passed $6 million and you got a $6 million max. That's your 12. This additional was because you had a good bond sale thing. You got a few extra dollars for bond premiums. What we do not track in here is any bond interest, because the bond interest is very volatile. I will sometimes see a year where there's basically no interest, and sometimes it spikes. So that will certainly be tracked and monitored, but that'll be monitored by the business department, not monitored within this. And then you can have a conversation once you get down to the bond promises. Hey, how much interest do we have? We want to roll that into any other capital projects beyond what the bond promises were. And that's where this committee gets involved and starts to say, okay, are there any other projects we'd like to buy up because we have X number of dollars left? So yeah, that's a nice problem to have. So that's the budget summary. And again, we can give you more budget detail as we go on. Jared, did you have something? Or?
Oh, no, I've got a question, but I want to hear everything you have to say, before I start.
Got it. Okay. So
I'm reading this, I just know you're gonna go there. Yeah.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So going to the next tab, which is work plan. And again, as was mentioned, this is very small, so I'll bring it 11 by 17 next time. But what we incorporated was really kind of a draft version at this point. Now that the architect engineering team has been selected, we want to have more of a dialogue with them, talk about what we think that we can reasonably accelerate and do in summer 26. And what do we think, no, this is probably setting us up for failure and we need to make it more of a summer 27. Our intention is that all your bond work is done by the fall 27. So that's 2 years from now. I know you're on a 3-year term, so we're hoping that we have a good problem. We have a little bit of money left over, and what other projects do we want to do? So that is the goal. The reason we're going that fast is because we want to make sure that we beat inflation. We do those things, and we may be efficient to combine multiple projects. When you look at the work plan phases, you can see just kind of the next page. It looks like that. So all this is really its design phases. So it is what we call pre-design and the design phases. Then you have schematic design, design development, and construction documents. This just kind of gives you a roadmap. So when we start talking about being in pre-design, they say, well, I thought pre-design was before the bond. No, pre-design is when you get the architect on board and you start confirming the scope of the project before they draw a line. That's pre-design. And we can talk certainly more about those as we go through the process. But then you can see construction phase there as well. You have your AE team involved, which is architect engineering team involved. You have the school staff, and then you have RNC management group. So all the contracts go through us, all the selections go through us. And when I say go through us, meaning that we facilitate that. Obviously, the district has to sign off on all of those. And then as we go through taking all the meeting notes and when we get into construction, it's reviewing quality of construction, but there are multiple eyes that are on that. That's not just us. The architect engineers look at it, special inspectors, county inspectors, all sorts of folks. You will also have folks like envelope consultants. You'll have somebody that is looking specifically at the envelope design, the building envelope design. So it's the siding, windows, doors, roof, it's everything. So they will be evaluating the architect's design as well as contractors' installation. You have commissioning agents for the mechanical systems. They will actually vet the mechanical systems not only are installed correctly, but also balanced and adjusted correctly as well. So you have a lot of different eyes are looking on different aspects of the project, and that's critical just to make sure that you have a good check and balance. And then the last sort of micro sheet you're going to see here is this one here, which is schedule. So, and again, I'll provide you 11 by 17 of this next time.
Any chance to have the Gantt chart email so we can blow it up?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that for sure. So this is, again, done in a vacuum of having got the architect and engineer on board, because this was created before this afternoon. But we're going to vet that with them and say, okay, are these milestones reasonable, acceptable for you? If they say, oh no, I need another year, then I can say, no, try again. So I mean, the idea is that this is sort of, we're setting the batter boards, if you will, the boundaries. We say, this is what we want you to hit. Now, if you need to adjust a few milestones, sure, yeah, let's talk about that. But this is the intent of how fast we want to go. What we haven't clearly defined of what's in 26 and what's in 27. That'll get defined by the time of your next meeting, or we'll propose that at the next meeting. I just want to get them on board and start having that conversation of what makes sense to push forward. We've asked the district politically if there's things that they want to do now. Unfortunately, that's everything we want to do now. So we're going to break it out and say, okay, what can we do now? Because you do want to have a good, strong start. So with that, that was kind of a longer explanation, but again, trying to kind of work out some questions.
I see your contingency is only 5%.
Mhm.
That's a little lower than I'm used to seeing.
Yes.
Obviously, I hate to see we have to VE things in the project, value engineer things in the project if we go over the contingency. How confident are you that we will stay at 5%?
Great question. We have another.
I know it's a-
We have another 10% in each project contingency.
Oh, so you have a 10% contingency for each. Now, when you say project, you said it before, is that by division?
No, that is by, let me see here. So each of these 4 work packages, okay, so say take the old gymnasium. Yeah, well, yeah, the first one, 26, we've not signed the budget for that
Right.
yet, because we want to, we'll pull some from here and put it into there, and that'll be the report action. But the gymnasium, for instance, is a budget of $4,453,125, okay? Within that, 10% of that is contingency, for project contingency. So each of these projects has a 10% project.
Oh, I see.
contingency.
Okay, so the contingency is already built into the project with the additional 5K. I think that's reasonable.
Right,
And I think that we can, because that's often a bone of contention. The 10% contingency is completely, in today's market, completely acceptable.
and so why we pull out a program contingency is, well, one run really well and one run really poorly, and we just don't know at this point, because you start opening up that old gym and you're just gonna find all sorts of
I
things.
I saw it written once, so I know.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. What I will do next time is I'll bring one of the, I know you do. I'm gonna bring out a project budget.
Do you want me to get one?
Oh, do you have one of those detailed ones? Yeah, if you want to, that'd be helpful. That way Jared can see all the details.
Yeah, is your project budget by division?
Our project budget is you mean like construction division?
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, it's hard cost and soft cost. So it starts out with the designers, and then it starts out with all the professional services, and then it starts out with construction, and then goes to permitting, furniture and equipment, and contingency. So it has, I think, 7 divisions, but yes. So, and then as we go through the design, we get estimates. Those estimates will be by construction division. Yes, will be broken out that way. These are just budget buckets, if you will. So yes, I'll bring one that is current and updated. Karen's gonna show you the light version.
Oh.
Working on the
Oh, that's cool.
So,
There you go.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So-
sure.
so yeah, got all sorts of different.
I know we're not talking about swinging hammers till next year, right?
Until 26, yeah.
Okay. And so, I didn't know where you were in the process, so I didn't know that you just talked about text today, right?
Yep.
So my question was about GMP. That's a guaranteed maximum price. That's a contractual price. That the contractor is telling you. So do you have a forecast for when you'll have a GMP? Because these are all just kind of questions I don't see out there. How often is this group meeting? I should probably know.
Every
that.
other month.
Every other month?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So on the GMP, I'm not gonna say that's a great question. On the GMP.
I wouldn't waste either of our time.
No. So what we've established in the budget that you're looking at is a construction budget, okay, which in my mind is an internal GMP, which is guaranteed maximum price, okay? That is like an internal GMP. The district has not yet decided whether or not that they will go out for a negotiated construction contract or a traditional hard bid. If it's a traditional hard bid where you design it, you bid it, you get a price, then that, if you will, GMP is the bid. Okay, that's what it is. Now, that's not to say that there won't be change orders, and we try and minimize those. The other path is a negotiated construction contract, which we call a CMGC, which is Construction Manager General Contractor. Okay, if we go that route, then we're picking the contractors before the design is done. So they actually take a look at it, and they help you. They kind of act as a partner. They help you go through the any cost reductions. They run cost models. They might open up some walls to make sure we're well informed before we start construction. So they do a variety of things, and then they will actually give us as was mentioned, a general, or excuse me, a guaranteed maximum price. But that GMP, if we go that route, other than the work we might do this summer, I don't anticipate that probably until February 27th. So that's a ways out.
Some of the projects can be designed with built, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Is we are also looking at this summer is doing what we call direct contracting rather than traditional design bid build. In other words, if I'm just doing a roof, doing nothing else, there's no reason for me to bring on a general contractor, no reason for me to bring on an electrician, and so on and so forth. Is we would just bid out to roofers. And we get 6 or 7 roofers, no bid, okay, you're doing this roof. As long as it really truly is just a roof and not roof and siding or roof and something else. So we'll take a look at that too. We look at intercom systems. Intercom system, great thing to bid out to intercom providers. So we're gonna take a look at that and see if there are parts and pieces that make sense just to catapult forward, as long as we know it's not gonna be impacted the next year by any renovation. So that's why we've got a zero budget in the summer 26 projects just yet. We want to have that dialogue with the architect and engineers, really look at that and examine that and go, what really could we catapult forward? And should it be under one GC, or can we release 5 or 6 sort of individual trade projects? And then I have to make sure they play in the same sandbox nicely.
And let me throw something in real quick. I think that's a real, that's a plus point for RNC, because not everybody does direct bids. And it winds up costing us more money by not doing it.
Because
So
the
I think
GC,
that's-
yeah,
I
because
never-
the
I
GC
don't-
will
I
have
don't think
market.
I will, you guys. I don't think.
Jared, I wouldn't remember you.
It's been said, right? But no, I mean, that's good to know. I mean, that's definitely.
It saves you a few dollars just because you don't have a GC market. You know, as long as I'm not overextending that roofer. It's like, roofer, can you also catch the lighting? Well, I don't know how to manage an electrician. Okay, so anyway, so we want to look at those things and make sure that they stay in their wheelhouse and can do it effectively, and give us good prices. So we'll also take a look at right sizing those as well. And I did this with Dallas a while ago. Is that you want to use local trades, and that's important. But say you were doing 4 roofs and the total was $1.5 million. And I invited all the trades to have a conversation about what we got coming up. And I look at them and I say, okay, it's going to be about 1.5 million in roofing work. Can you all bond and insure for that? And 4 of them say, no, I can't bond or insure for anything over $1 million. Okay, so what that tells me is I want to release those as individual packages so I can better attract the locals rather than making it too big where all of a sudden I've priced out most of them because they can't bond and insure for that much. So that's an example of some of the things that we take a look at is make also right sizes so your locals can better participate.
And I'll, not to sound like a broken record, and like I said, they're not paying me to say this at all, but that is definitely not a practice that's done by everybody. Because the big name contractors don't do that. So that's cool.
Oh, I guess I should clarify this, so thank you. But I won't be contracting them directly. I'll be bidding. The contracts will be under them, so yes.
Contracts are with the school board.
Absolutely, yes. The school board, yes. The district as a whole. Actually, your school board is your local contracting agency for those that don't know. So that's their other role. So if we actually decide to go out as a negotiated contractor rather than a traditional bid, your school board actually has to adopt that as an alternative contracting method through being the local contracting agency. So what they would do is they'd open a school board meeting and say, okay, we're going to adjourn this and convene the local contracting board, if you will. And so then the school board, I mean, it's perfunctory because it's the same people. Then what they would do is be presented a findings of fact. I would present them the findings of fact and say, I would recommend that you allow us to pursue a negotiated construction contract. They discuss it, they ask questions, is this in the best interest of the district, et cetera, et cetera. Then they say, okay, all right, appreciate that. Then they adjourn that meeting, reconvene the school board meeting, and then they take action in the school board meeting. You know, do we want to allow them to proceed with a negotiated contract? I know it seems like a lot of extra steps, but that is the requirement of the state. So, far more detail than you needed, but I wanted to put that out there. So,
Thoughts, questions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shut up.
you're the chair, man. You don't have to shut up.
Shakes down for pitchforks, right? Yes, sir.
Just a question under the planned projects, and I understand you can't guarantee anything at this point, it might be up to the school board, but how realistic do you think the 12 million will be to cover all the stuff on our list, or like all but one, or how reasonable do you think that is?
Well, I think it's reasonable to cover all of them, but I think part of the question becomes a matter of scale as well. You know, for instance, I heard you, sir, you were talking about the asbestos thing. We want to get all floors, asbestos floors out of the entire district, or out of the entire building. I don't know whether the budget will cover that. What I might recommend is you to do asbestos abatement of floors, highest priority and second priority, or something to that effect. Let's bid out that one, make sure that one's done. Can we do the second one or not? I don't know. Jervis is doing that right now with roofs. I say, okay, what roofs are leaking or about to leak? That was their first one. They'd like to do some other roofs that look like they've got 7 to 10 years life left, but that's only if they have the money. So I would recommend some of those, we scale them appropriately. It's certainly more efficient to just blow and go and do it all. But we have to be really thoughtful about that because we don't want to shortchange the projects at the end of your list because we did too much at the beginning. Hence, why we have those individual budgets. I can't go over the high school budget because then I'm going to stand at the Faulkner Chapter as an example. So I think it's reasonable what I saw. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to do all your bond promises. I'd love to have a little bit of money left over so that you can do 1 or 2 extra projects and say, see what we did. We were good stewards of your money. Because right now you are marketing for your next bond. It's very moment.
There's a reason we hired you.
Other questions?
Yeah,
So speaking of stewardship, I'm assuming the funds are somewhere where to accumulate the best interest possible.
And government investment, something.
Okay, because I know there's some institutions that go like 4%, 5% compared to other places like 1%. So I just want to make sure that it's getting the most bang for your buck, that we can take that interest and put to another project.
Well, and then there's also limitations on how much interest we can actually earn over the life.
Because you're
So-
looking at it.
Yeah, so we have to watch out for that as well.
We don't have them in NFTs, right?
So-
Never mind.
Oh, yes. Your Bitcoin authorization code is, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's spamming me. But so there's all sorts of things we have to keep an eye on.
And that does create a bit of a difficulty. It's like we want to accelerate all these projects and get them going fast, but the longer the money sits in the bank, then the more interest you make. But is inflation beating that? So there's always kind of we actually have to spend 85% of the funds, no less than 85% of the funds, in the first 3 years from the sale. When was the sale?
August.
So because it's not the election, it's the sale. So from August 25 to August 28, we have to spend 85% of the funds at least. Now, we're not going to have any problem with that at all, but we got a pretty fast pace that we're going to do.
And that's just the bond funds and not the awesome grant.
Right.
So we'll spend it on bond funds first. We already have the awesome grant funds there. That's the $6 million match we got.
Okay.
From the state and all the reporting that we have to do to the state.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they reimburse you.
Yep.
So we'll be taking a look at with Karen, some cash flow issues, make sure that we're turning those in quickly enough to get money from the state to make sure we don't have a problem on the back end. So, because you are literally working as a state match. You went out for 6, you're getting 6. So we got to make sure that we get that second 6 fast enough to not have a problem.
So some of the projects that we did talk about, maybe looking at early on, would be like, the parking or lighting and seeing what we could do there. So the community sees that actually we are moving forward because they may not see the rest of it until the end of summer of 26 or even 27. So that's where we were in several of our core meetings talking about that.
Yeah, definitely some high visibility ones. And then our hope too is eventually taking this group through to tour those projects. If we're gonna, maybe we tour, like in August of 26 before everybody comes back in September of 26, and you get first dibs of looking at everything that was done. So it's nice to be able to kick the tires on things ahead of time.
okay. Where are we? So is that the end of section 8? Or next steps?
Is there anything else on
I think so.
bond sale?
Nothing, bond sale, we sold the bonds, we have that little bit of premium, and that's been great. But yeah,
And they showed us the money.
It was a successful sale.
It was.
All right,
Next steps.
next steps, talking points. I don't think you want me to say the talking points, so I think we'll ask our expert here.
What are the next steps, Rod?
Oh, me?
Yeah, between now and.
Oh, it's you, Scott.
Well, I thought he was going, yeah.
I don't know. Who's next, the next step?
That was Scott. What are the next steps between now and our next bond oversight committee?
So your next bond oversight committee meeting will be in roughly 2 months. And you've
December
established
8th.
this month, okay.
I
there
will
we go.
send out a calendar invite, December 8th.
And you would set up the agenda a week or two ahead of time and send it out to everybody. Ideally, it would be an update that gets more and more detailed as we go, because we'll have more and more contracts executed. I would give you a more elaborate budget breakdown, just so you can see all that's being done. We'll have some commitments in place, but even in the next 2 months, we won't have that many more commitments made. We might start some surveying, perhaps, or some geotech, but yeah, it'll just be another informational session. We'll focus less probably on orientation and more on the status of the work. But I would anticipate the next meeting probably only still just being an hour, because we won't have a lot done yet. Ideally, we'll have the designers have set all their design meetings, and I don't know if people on the bond oversight committee would like to sit in any of the design meetings. I don't know if that's an option or not.
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah, because they'll have different groups of meetings.
We'll have an architect on board by December, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're making a recommendation to the board here this week, and then we'll negotiate the contract for a month.
If we get that board agenda.
We get the board agenda. Barry's had a busy day. It's a busy day. But then, yeah, negotiate the contract. We have them under contract by middle of November. And first thing we'll be doing is going over them scheduling. So, yeah.
And you're gonna bring the left by 17 so we can all read it.
Absolutely.
And look more closely at the schedule.
Bigger sheets, for sure. So, but I don't anticipate a lot of changes in the next 2 months. A lot of it will be getting the architect on board, getting all the professional service providers on board, and maybe executing some of that survey, geotech, hazmat work. Yeah. There is a slim chance maybe we'll do a little asbestos abatement this winter break. That's possible. We'll want to just take a look at that and see, okay, is there a good area? If we remove floors, are we okay with being on a concrete floor for the second half of the school year, as an example? Unpolished, yeah, unpolished. Maybe it's pipe insulation. We want to make sure that it's very attainable, because even though the kids are gone for 2 weeks, contractors tend to want to be gone too, and there's holidays and other things. I try to do no abatement over spring break because it's too tight of a window, and because you are reoccupying the space, they have to get what's called TEM clearances, and it's just hard to rush that through. You have to have everything just kind of follow perfect. If anything gets snagged up, all of a sudden you're not reopening school that next Monday, so we don't do that. So.
We're not, and the whole project, the scope of this project won't be disturbing any dirt, right? With the exception of I mean, because I don't want, I'm for acronyms slipping my mind, but the state historical folks, we're not disturbing any dirt, right?
This is in grade for the new parking lot.
Just
Yeah.
right, but that's the existing.
Right.
Just the field.
So you're talking about the State Historic Preservation Office,
Exactly.
SHPO, yeah.
That's it, yeah, that's it.
So I don't think, yeah, SHPO, yeah, State Historic Preservation Office, they have to come up with something. So SHPO. I don't think either of your buildings are on the historic register, are they?
No.
Yeah, so
Well, I'm not either. If I've disturbed the dirt, they want to know there's quite a process that we have to go through with them. But we're not, everything is being done within the walls of our buildings, right?
Except for the field over here is gonna get paved.
Right.
In the park. That's the only
We're
thing.
not building
that
it.
is-
Okay.
No, I think we're generally okay. So there are occasions where, because of maybe something they know about in an area, that you have to have an archaeologist on, which is kind of separate, which is more, are you digging and find a arrowhead, and all things done, so.
So the high school is in the floodplain, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that means that would it be a little more it might be more costly to have a specific crew out there to do the job, to make sure it's compliant with the pavement, with the asphalt?
Oh, because of the floodplain.
Yes.
Yeah, the civil engineer will take that into account. The requirements for the storm management and storm drainage will be more extensive for that parking lot than, say, if you weren't, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, the reason too,
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Don't even say
Put the
that.
whole high school up on stilts. But to that point, as we were actually just having this conversation earlier today, is that we can't add on to the high school without potentially triggering land use and floodplain and all sorts of other potential code issues. So for instance, the security vestibule at the front, we'll probably do that inboard of the school rather than outboard. Because even though it looks like that could potentially trigger a very extensive code criteria. So yeah, you're kind of stuck with that floodplain.
We're sure.
All right.
All right, so just an update next time. I think I need to elaborate.
Nope, sounds reasonable. So do I get to get talking points or you?
Communication,
Oh, okay, good job. There you go. I like it.
here's our communications expert down there.
I suppose,
If there is one thing I have learned in communication is that I can put out press releases and social media and everything, and yet folks will turn to all of you, their neighbors and their coworkers and their friends for information far before they will end up on the district website or the social media or anything else. So at the conclusion of these meetings, I just kind of want to offer up some major talking points, so things to like take away from this, so that you have a few things in your tool belt if people are asking you questions that we talked about tonight to remember. And so I just have 3 things jotted down. One, that the bond sale happened, it went well, we did get a little bit of a premium. We're not adding projects or anything, we didn't get that much, but it just gives us a little bit of wiggle room. And that was a reflection of documents Dory and Karen put together that reflected the community, the school district's credit rating, all of that went into a rating that got that premium. So that was great, successful. We got more than the 6 million we wanted. That's important. Also, just going back to what Scott was saying, that it's very likely that the big projects people are looking forward to will not happen until summer of 27. And we really want to manage that expectation. We're going to bring as much forward as we can in the next year. We want people to see things happening, but in the short term, I think sometimes people, like, we passed a bond, what's happening? This was going to get fixed. It's not going to be Christmas of this year. We'll try to do that as much as possible. But if people are asking you all as members of the Bond Oversight Committee, why am I not seeing work? The answers are in here, and you're hearing that may be a conversation that you have to have in person with people to say, things are happening, it's just not visible work at this time. And then the third point is just the bond website. We are updating it with the information that you're getting here as we're contracting with new vendors and bringing that all on. It's there, SheridanBond.org, has all that information, has the information on the bond sale, that premium. We're keeping that up to date as we go. It's a great place to send some. There's a tab, the old site that we had for the election process is up on the top, so all of that information is still back there, but it's not in the front like it was before. But if anybody has questions, we are keeping that up to date. So my free time.
Cool.
All right. So the next meeting, you said December 8th?
December 8th, I will send out a calendar invite.
Are we planning on all meetings being that second Monday of the second month?
Yes.
I remember you said like we vote on it or something.
Oh. Yeah. Is there another?
I'm being your
Monday night?
chair on that.
Well, I'm trying to work with, in case anybody from city council.
Okay,
So that's why we went with the second, because I believe city council meetings are first and third.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to offset that. So it's either the second or the fourth, and some of the fourth get interrupted. So anyway.
That, I just wanted to make sure that got,
Yeah.
people had a chance to say if that worked for them or not, so.
I'm hoping it does. Does 6:30 work? I mean, our other meetings are at 6. And I think some people had a hard time maybe getting here at 6, but all our board meetings are at 6. So I just want to put that out there if you prefer 6:30. That gives you time to have dinner, whatever.
I like that extra half hour.
Yeah.
Okay. I know some people, wherever you work and getting done with work and having dinner and all that. So. Okay.
Well, that's good, and I guess where we are now, I'm clear as to where we are. Is everybody else clear as to where we are? Because does anybody have any questions for our NC about roles, the responsibilities of different people that are going to be involved in this project? Because I don't, I think RNC did admirable job. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right,
So I guess we're adjourned.
we're adjourned. Thank you. It's up to you. You may take your binder, you can put your nameplate inside your binder.
And you need this back, I presume?
I need this back. Do we all? Yep.
Oh, geez, yeah, I guess I probably should have.